All right, and we're on live back for our final show, our sideline sit down special. We've called it the Dream Season, where we have a reunitement of the 2017 team, the Rio Hondo Lady Bobcats. It's something that we've all been looking forward to, that we've been kind of sharing and we've been discussing maybe about a week and a half now. So we're live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We're joined by Taylor Cepeda, Bianca Cruz, Tiana Sandoval, Alexa Castellanos, Annie and Abby Alvarado, Anthony Orozco, Kayla Castañeda, Nayeli Garcia, Miranda Martinez, and head coach Brett Esparza. So, guys, welcome aboard.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Kevin.
Hey, Kevin. Thanks for having us, man.
So we're all here live, and the whole idea of this was with the Last Dance and what we're watching with the Chicago Bulls and just how good they were, and a chance for us to kind of see their stories, a little bit of a behind the scenes things, and we're learning different things about that team. So I got a hold of Coach Esparza and I said, hey, we should do something with this, with the 2017 team, because we felt that there were so many similarities, with the personalities and the way they played, and just really the greatness of this team, and the individual greatness that we saw that year. And some people asked, well, why this specific team? And I said, well, outside of San Benito and Weslaco that did make it to state, this is the closest team that has gotten there. And since you guys, no one has gone that far. We've had teams reach the Sweet 16. It's Rio Hondo was one of them last year. But me being able to see those San Benito teams and Weslaco teams, you guys are different. You guys are different in your own way, and I think that's one thing that the fans are going to see. And for the Rio Hondo fans, I'm sure they knew that. But for this team, for the people that are watching, they had a swagger to them. They had an attitude to them, to where I always tell people that I tell Esparza this all the time, that they were going to tell you, we're going to go out and beat you. We're going to remind you, or we're going to go out and beat you, and we're going to remind you that we beat you. And it was just an aggressive style of play that I really hadn't seen in any team, really. That year that you guys were playing, Harlingen South was just down the road in the Sweet 16. They were great in their own way, but the bravado and the attitude was different. So those are some things that we're just going to talk on. So I'm going to shut up, and I'm going to let you guys tell y'all's story. And I know we're in for a real treat. So, Coach Esparza, if you want to start it off, with the beginning of that year, 2017, what were those first couple practices like? And, you guys knew that you guys had something special brewing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so something, kind of to preface that a little bit is that this group was the first group that started the whole almost like fall ball precedent, because see, in small schools, most of the athletes play multiple sports. And so what you don't get, entirely is this group that you might see at 6A level that basically just never really kind of stops. And so kind of, fast, to put that together for you, like this group here, one of the reasons why I made the transition of moving to the high school to teach was that I'd have the opportunity to have my kids and my players and see them, to be available to them. And this group was that one in particular. We did have some volleyball kids, and B. Cruz played volleyball, Anthony played volleyball. And so we had some volleyball kids in the group, but a majority of our team was with us almost year round. And so they asked more of me, and we kind of got together, and it was almost like a true off-season softball type, which you would see at a bigger school. I asked them some college coaches some information, and we treated them for 3 years like they were collegiate softball team. And we asked them to, lift and run and this and that, and the demand on them I try to put on them was high. It was I asked a lot of them physically, during those times, to put in, we started all that kind of stuff there, and that's a trend that we've kind of kept on. But going into the season, I think that's one of the things that made it different was in 17, we just kind of started. Here's August, and here we go. Come that first day of practice, I think we went out there and it was just kind of like knocking cobwebs off. I think we were ready for our season opener on Saturday, because the first day of practice was not Friday. we were like, okay, who's first? Who we playing first? And so that was our first thought, and that made the season different. I mean, I think there was no doubt in my mind going in that we were going to be special. The group was special. I think the group has been so special that it was, we're always kind of worried about. I wanted them to think about life after softball. A lot of them had big aspirations to play at the next level, so that was something that we made the focus from the very beginning. So it was different. That first practice, first game in that 2017 made it completely different. So it is what it is. This is Sophia. Sophia. That's the beauty of working for home right there. But yeah, no, I knew it was gonna be different from the very beginning because, like I said, we had weapons galore. People could play multiple positions, and I know, they could go to this school and that school, any school across the valley or state for that matter, and make a contingent and make an argument that they could play this position, that position, and I knew we had that ability. I think we started the year, and that was our biggest thing is, okay, well, what can we really do? And so I think we decided we found, Nayeli and Annie could play third, Kayla and Nayeli could play first. We knew that if we had this wrinkle and that wrinkle, I think the only one we really didn't know was who would catch after Abby. If lo and behold, if something happened to Abby, who would go in to catch her? I know there was Alex and Tiano thought they could do everything, but that was probably our only question. I know we tried to be Cruz at practice a couple of times, and they're all athletic enough they could have done it, I believe. But that was probably the one spot that we thought, you know what, we don't have a true backup. But pitching wise, and where you really have to be good, man, we had 4, 5 that just fantastic pitchers. Nayeli was a freshman, and she even pitched a little bit that season. And then lo and behold, she's our ace this year, so many years later. But yeah, I mean, there was just so much depth at every position, and that I knew was gonna be a special year.
Definitely. Starting with the seniors, the season gets underway, and there's all this expectation. When was it in the year that you guys felt that this was the year that you guys could truly do something special?
I think it was 2017 for sure. That was like our breakout year. We just clicked. No pressure was on. It was just our chemistry, of course. We finally got to that level where it's like, hey, we need this, it's now or never mentality, and something just clicked for us.
I think we knew the expectations going into the 2017 season, knowing that it was our last year in high school ball and we had great chemistry. But I think Coach Esparza did a really good job of having us have that chip on our shoulder and going to go play blue collar. We're going to show up to play. And I think we just kind of knew the expectations at that point. So I feel like that year, throughout the whole year, we kind of had that really good chemistry.
You guys were dubbed the Fab Five too.
Yeah.
Cutest ones. I'm just kidding. No, but I feel like our chemistry has kind of always been there. I mean, especially 2017. But look at us, we've all played together when we were little, so it was just easy transitioning into each year because we knew all about each other. We knew how we played. We knew how we worked mentally, physically. So of course, over the years, it just got better, and we perfected that. I think 2017.
Yeah, we learned how to talk to each other better. We knew we could go to practice and joke around and then know that we had to get stuff done. We knew our level of expectations coming from Coach, especially when he would get on us. It's that one practice, I don't know if y'all remember.
Oh,
when we were
I
all messing
remember.
Around. Wait, there's 2.
Yeah, there's 2.
There's 2.
Wait,
there's one. That one where he walked in. No, we have to bring. Well, which one are you talking? You're talking about that one where Bianca wanted to laugh. The chemistry just
Which
was
one?
there, but Okay. Well, the first one was senior year, I'm pretty sure, when Esparza walked in the practice and we were all messing around. He was like, y'all don't want to practice today? Go home, and left. And he just left us there to clean up all the stuff. But
I remember.
the bigger one, Alexa, you say it.
Well, he just, I don't know, it was a lot. But
He was just talking to us like this, I think everything's going good and everything. And then he hit us with running the whole practice.
Oh yeah, I
Didn't-
remember that one.
Didn't touch the
discipline.
softball. And Bianca, since he started yelling there, thinking that it was a joke.
No. He scared me. My soul literally left my body because he was right in front of me and he yelled right in my face. And I was
I
like,
just heard you giggle, and we were like, Bianca.
no, I was
But
scared.
I think it was moments like that we knew what was expected of us as a whole team. Especially like district, like we knew district was fun. We took it serious and all, but we knew the goal was playoffs. That was like, we didn't know how far we were gonna go, but.
So, and did you guys feel that, obviously at the beginning of the year, you had already seen the year before Westlake go to state, the year before that in 2015, San Benito, and then in 2013. So did you all feel that the door was cracked open just a bit to see that, hey, it is possible to make it to Austin and you guys could put something together?
Me and Alexa were just talking about it right now.
Me and Tiana were on FaceTime talking about the time we went to Austin to watch the Longhorns play or UT play. And we kind of had this conversation among each other and we're like, guys, like, don't say bye, we're going to be back. Like, that was our goal from the very beginning.
Yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back. Don't worry.
We'll
Don't
be
worry.
back. We'll be back.
The entire
So,
playoff.
and Wesleyan, San Benito, seeing those teams do it from the Valley, just kind of like, why not us? Like, we're a smaller team, yes, but we're beating these good 6A, 5A teams, and we wanted it more. We wanted it all, basically. We wanted to be back, and we wanted to play hard, and that was our goal.
How about for the underclassmen? Seeing all the things, you seeing these girls in front of you, and then of course you seeing the teams that had, the Westlakos and San Benitos. For the underclassmen, y'all feel any added pressure, or were you guys so young that you guys didn't know better and you were just out there playing ball?
I personally feel like I saw these upperclassmen and they all had good chemistry, and I just wanted to add on to that, like whatever I could do to help just make the team better.
I looked at the upperclassmen and like, I didn't want to piss them off, so we're all gonna be a big happy family. We're gonna do this for them. Alexa, Miranda, y'all were like the undeclared captains of the team, and no one disrespected y'all. No one ever told y'all anything. Y'all were the ones that always like sat down with us and like talked to the team. And then and there was
mediator.
Was like, you know what, you're right. You're wrong. And, no one wanted to make Tiana mad either and have her yelling at us. We wanted us to all be happy.
Oh no, don't make me laugh. I took it very serious my senior year.
For sure, but like we all did.
Very fun, but serious at the same time.
It was the funnest, most serious year, for sure.
Yes, no other way to explain it but that, because it was so much fun, so much, like, I don't know, we took it so serious as well. So much passion in the game.
The amount of clowning around, you would have not expected us to have been as good as we were. But we were, and that was that. Like, they would go from messing around in the locker room to coming out and having straight faces, like
the light switch. We knew when to flick the light switch on and take it serious.
That's when all our slangs came out, was that year.
And the energy in the dugout, like banging on the top. Like it was just
Everyone did.
crazy.
What was our mascot's name? Our stuffed animal?
Nancy.
Nancy.
Named after
Nancy.
Everywhere.
Nancy,
Brought us
named
so
after
much
the 5'6"
together.
hole.
I think
Yeah.
that was the one unique thing about the senior group is that there was a level of fear, but in a good way, but the underclassmen respected them in a way to where, like Anthony said, like we don't want to upset them, because they knew there'd be some kind of repercussion. I mean, I even felt that way when I would go to the games. These girls are serious and they're here to play. And I liked how you guys mentioned the light switch, that switch that you guys can just turn on. Seeing other teams, not every team has that, but you guys all collectively had that as a group, from top to bottom. But what you seniors, what would you describe yourselves as? On the field, like we said, like the moxie and the push that you guys had. How would you describe yourselves now looking back a couple years ago?
Trying to go first.
I would say I was fearless my senior year. I wanted everything hit to me because I was so confident in myself catching the balls. I was happy I was the first batter because I knew I was gonna hit the ball. I knew I was gonna get on base. I knew my team was gonna be happy for me. So I was just fearless. I knew that I had a good team to support me. I knew that no matter what I did, they're gonna be on my back and support me. So I had so much confidence in myself because I knew I could back it up with my team.
Confidence, a lot of confidence. I had so much confidence in my pitchers, catchers, infield, outfield. I mean, subs coming in. Sometimes we had to make substitutions that no one ever played there, or we just throwing people in, and situations like that brought us to like such amazing games. And that confidence allowed us to do that and allowed us to move people around. And we were just, it just always just clicked.
How like Santana keeps saying confidence, I felt like whenever I was pitching, I knew that if the ball was going to be hit to Tiana, she was going to catch it. Bianca, they were going to team up. Anywhere, Alexa, nothing was going to get past her, even in Nancy. Little Nancy, unless it snuck past her, then it was going to go. Like, I had complete confidence in everybody that was behind me. And even I felt like if I wasn't in the circle, I had confidence with the team that was out there. Like, that comfort that I had, that I wasn't worried, like everyone all around. I felt like it shaped me. Pitching, especially for that team, shaped me into like who I am now. I knew my job was to go out there and mix it up, throw change up. If they caught on to it, then it's gonna be a little blooper. If not, like I feel like I carry that with me today because of that team, like the trust I had in everybody on there, and as far as just the whole all around vibe is good.
As far as now, pretty much the same question for you. Looking back at the seniors, how would you describe them? From a coach's point of view, and just like how they said they just flip that switch and it's on, and just how would you describe them?
Yeah, no, I think that's one of the things that I struggled with going in through that time with them was how do I take the pressure off them? This is a group that you mentioned 15 and 16, but in 14 we lost a very close game that we had the lead to in the third round to Kingsville, who went to the regional final. And so as freshmen, they became like almost a very hot commodity. They win the first district championship in Rio Hondo. They win the first playoff game in Rio Hondo. They beat Zapata by districts. And they go on. We beat Carizo the next round, and we play in Kingsville, and we lose at 14. And I think there was just an overwhelming amount of pressure that accumulated out of nowhere, not from me, but out of nowhere. That like, what's next? What can they do it again, or will we do it again? And it became a lot. And my biggest thing to them in 17 was like, who cares? I think that was the whole reason that we wanted one game in the playoffs, was that who cares? Like, it's been so much fun. We're so close, and it's been such an amazing ride. Hey, let's let it ride. Like, why are we trying to, you know, this just all in, like, chips all in, and for whatever reason, it stopped being nervousness and turned into confidence. It didn't happen overnight. I know. I mean, I was going into the season a little bit, but that we played Edinburgh in a tournament in La Jolla, and I think that there's a couple kids I know that they made some plays that turned them into believers. I think they hit a ball that still might wake Annie up in her dreams with
Abby
nightmares.
didn't. He almost hit a home run and hit the fence.
They hit a ball, smoked the ball to Annie at third, and she just played it, and I think her teammates always believed she could make those kind of plays. And there's just one of the kids, but like all the way around, all the girls made plays throughout that season early on that I guess everybody who already believed in them, they started believing a little bit more in themselves, and the pressure just kind of went away. And at the end, I think towards the end, we just wanted to go. We just wanted to, one last ride kind of thing. Whatever it was going to be, we were going to go and guns blazing, and I think that's all we cared about. I know that we're excited that the season was so successful. But we knew that whatever game it was, we were guns blazing from the get-go. And so I think that has a lot to do with the passion that that they had as a group. We had this relationship that and I don't know how I couldn't even tell you. If I could model the recipe, I don't think I'd ever lose again. But as a coach, but for whatever reason, like trust or faith or what, like I think all this group right here never hesitated to tell me exactly what was on their mind. Like, it didn't matter if they knew. As soon as they told me, I was going to be furious. They were going to tell me anyway. They were going to tell me anyway. And like they had that trust that, like, as a player, it could be one of those heat of the moment things. And I know early on, we were at a tournament in Michigan. I think Alexa tried to scold me about a decision I had made, and she got away with a little bit more than everybody else, like a little bit more than everybody else, but she got away with it. And like I walked away from her, and and we, as every family does, we had it out after that game, and I let them know exactly where I stood, and I did not, we had it out, and then we took a deep breath, and we got on the bus as one big happy family, and we went to go on to the next one, and that was it. But this group did that with me, with each other, with everybody all year long, and it was business. Like, it wasn't like it wasn't a personal thing. It was more of a passion thing. That's exactly what it was. It's when all that passion in the dugout, for whatever reason, spilled out a little bit. Somebody was in the moment, and I think once they all kind of realized that everybody's light switch was on, the dugout kind of took care of itself. I mean, there was nobody going to get caught looking the other way when everybody's looking this way. So I think for the most part, that's what really, really stands out to me is that she said that, like, passion is big with this group. We respected each other as people and as players and coaches, and we loved each other. And I think that it was okay for them to tell me anything. I've always kind of been that kind of coach. I have no problem with your opinion. Just be okay hearing no, and I'll always listen to what you got to say. And sometimes you may get a yes, and it may be a fantastic idea. But at the same time, I want you to be able to always tell me. And we found that way to alleviate some of that pressure, and their confidence shine through with all of them. every single it's more, but and I could talk for hours on this group, but what things like that. What made this group so special was that.
You guys have any response to that?
Can yeah, I have something. Like how Esparza mentioned, like the level of respect that we had for each other. I think that's big. Like we all respected each other to where we knew our limits, like how to, no one took anything personal. If I was messing up on something and Alexa told me you need to do this, or anyone, I'd be like, okay, like take it like with a little grit. Like none of us took anything too personal. And I think that was what made us so successful, was that we took everything as constructive criticism, because everything that was said to us wasn't said to like offend anyone. It was said for the better of the team. And I feel like all of us across the board. Yeah, like if you're gonna call me out on something,
we're always trying to better ourselves, never bring each other down. That's one thing we always knew. Like we're going up together, so we always help each other and build each other.
I think that's one of the main things that made us like as successful as we were, because we were able to talk to each other and be real about it and not take it like you're trying to be mean or anything like that.
Was that the turning point in that season for you guys?
Can you say that again?
Or
there was a lot of turning points.
Or the point where you guys drew the line in the sand.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think I felt like the line in the sand was first weekend of the season at the Mission tournament against Edinburgh North. I think that's where I kind of drew my line in the sand, and like, you know, I wasn't gonna let them go out like that, and so I wanted them to know that, you know, immediately almost, before we did anything else, because I knew, you know, I knew the potential, the expectation, and where we could have been headed to.
You know, we talk about the you know, the Zapata game probably being another major point in that season. I believe you guys finished 13-1, and y'all were 12-0. I know, correct me if I'm wrong, coach, but y'all were 12-0 heading into that Zapata game, and you guys lose 9-6, and all of a sudden it's like you guys are trucking towards the playoffs. You guys are ready to win district, but then you guys get brought back down to earth. Walk us through that game. You know, this is an open question for everybody. You know, walk us through that Zapata game and kind of just what went wrong and how you guys were able to answer back.
Honestly, they just outplayed us, and I felt like that they outplayed us, made mistakes. It was like uncharacteristic mistakes, but they were a pretty good team. They wanted it. I mean, they had so much to lose. I think if they beat us, they were going to the playoffs. So I think that fired them up a little more to beat us. We were just there to get business done, but I mean, they really did play a really good game that game.
I think after that game, it was like a little reality check, like, oh shoot, like we can lose. Like, what is it to lose? But I guess it's possible.
I feel like it helped us since we hadn't lost in so long. I feel like we made that. We felt lost again. We're like, okay, we don't want that anymore. We remember the feeling of what it feels like to lose, to go home on the bus with like a loss, and we're like, we don't want to feel that anymore. That's not a good feeling. It sucks.
I remember sitting in the bus thinking, we just lost. Like,
on the sad music.
No football burger.
Oh yeah.
Like oh my god. Last time.
Yeah, no, that's but we tried to use that game. I think I remember, like, they didn't have a JV for whatever reason, so we went over there, and so it was a way for us to almost like have a run through of what it was like to get on the bus and drive 3 hours somewhere, get off, warm up, and play, and what that would be like in a you know, playoff type game. And so that was kind of my approach to it. I do remember being talked into Canes on the way, instead of on the way back. And that, but whether or not it had anything to do with the 3-hour bus ride, but no, I know that we were, in my opinion, for that game, the pressure was not really on us; it was more on them. And they, to their credit, they answered the call. We had already beat them once. We had one loss. You're right, one loss going in our last opponent was I don't remember exactly who it was, but that year. But I do remember that we felt like we would be in a position to be successful. So, we wanted to clinch it, obviously, and I think not doing so left some eerie feelings in our gut a little bit. But I do remember one thing that their coach told me after the game. I was kind of looking for what to tell. I really didn't know how our group was going to respond immediately. I knew how we'd respond long term, but I didn't know what. I didn't want to go over there and feed them a load of garbage, really. So I was looking for those words in my head as we walked through the line, shaking hands. And as fate would have it, he stops me. Coach Garcia stops me and he says, "Hey, when I was in high school, we lost a foul." And I know, he goes, "We beat foul." And I was like, "Oh, that's great, right?" As he starts explaining stuff, and he says, "Foul was like number 1 or number 2 in the state." And Coach Garcia played in Zapata. He goes, "Zapata beat foul." And it was like they had won the Super Bowl. He goes, "But then foul wins state." He goes, "So you guys are going to go win state." And like right away, I was like, man, like my, hairs in the back of my neck, like right in the gut, and I said, I'm gonna go tell him. I'm gonna go tell him, like, don't worry, according to fate, But I walked over and I told them, I was like, I just want you guys to know, that it's like that. Anybody's beatable, and I think that was the idea. If you're not really ready, we're definitely beatable, and I wanted to let them know that, because you're right. I think at that time there was only 2 tournaments, so we had just won our last tournament, and we hadn't lost, probably since February, and here it was about to be the last week in April, and we hadn't lost. So we almost needed that to give ourselves, all of us, a reality check moving forward. So yeah, it was tremendous. I think at the time, like, the girls were like number 3, 4 in the state, something like that, and to give themselves a little humble pie really went a long way. And that was why I kind of, I really saw it in their faces, and I knew it would be something that stuck in their gut. I think a lot of people kind of drew on that feeling in that very first round against Rockport. Rockport had us on the ropes first round, and I think a lot of the girls drew on that experience and that ugly feeling that they had, and when things weren't going and then we just started like making things happen, and then we ended up pulling out on that one. But no, it really did serve us a lot of good that year. It was fantastic for our overall.
So you're asking, I actually had it pulled up. February 18th was your last loss against Corpus Christi King at the Mission Classic tournament. Mm-hmm. So from February all the way till the Zapata game, you guys did not lose. And then you guys finished district with an 11-2 win over PI. So, the turnaround was quick for you guys with the last game of the year for district play. And then, let's get into the playoffs and let's talk about the playoff run and the ride that it was, because you guys had a whole month of softball to go. And, like Sparger was mentioning the Rockport game, how it was a lot tougher than you guys maybe would have thought. So just share your thoughts on the playoff run, and when during that playoff run did you guys, because when teams go on runs, when they go on deep runs like a region final or a Sweet 16, there's a little bit of luck involved where the chips fall where they need to fall, and you guys win this series or you guys get a 1-gamer here. you know, what stood out to you in that playoff series or throughout the playoff run?
I don't think it was luck. Sorry. I don't think it was luck so much, but when Kayla hit that.
The dinger.
I think the
Kayla.
one that stood out was definitely Wimberly. I mean, every series, every playoff game, there was one person happened. So Wimberly, it was just going back and forth and back and forth, and it just took someone to take it home for us. And thank you so much, Taylor, because I was so tired.
Yeah, and then we had that whole break. Didn't it last till like 12 at night or something? We had
hated
that lightning.
I couldn't even walk the next day.
We had that.
We were complaining.
Right after the game, I was so tired.
I remember
we had school after, right?
and I was up to bat. That was the worst.
Didn't we have school after that?
I didn't
No.
Didn't we stay
my
there?
feet were swollen.
Yeah, we stayed. We stayed there.
No,
What's it called?
we stayed. Alexa, we
Yeah.
stayed at that Holmes one, remember?
We had our hotel with the stove.
Yeah, there was onions in my burger.
was
I remember.
The whole thing.
I got 2 bobs. I was real hungry that day.
We had the ice cream in between the innings, though. We went to go wait at Dairy Queen.
Yeah,
They didn't want us to eat.
That was not the way that would happen.
Esparza told me that story about the Dairy Queen where he said for y'all to order something, and Tiana ordered ice cream and had everyone share it because he said order something.
Yeah, we only had one lick.
I was nervous. I was up to bat. I remember so well because I had 2 strikes and 2 balls. So I was like, you couldn't fight to start me, fresh. You couldn't do that for me, no. And it was that tall girl. She was pitching fast. I was nervous. That's all I was thinking about. I had to eat my ice cream.
But you literally shared an ice cream with everybody.
Yes, my mom bought it.
Yes.
We got a little lick. It was like lick pass.
We definitely can't do that these days, but
no,
none more.
I wouldn't.
That was the opposite of social distance right there.
We didn't really have a social distant team, Coach. Do you remember?
No, that is also true.
We were literally always.
That is also true.
We were super close.
Yeah,
Thank God you had headphones, Coach.
But when your song came on, what was it? Like a milli, when it came on, your head shot up and looked at us.
That was our favorite song to play in the weight room.
In the weight room. But the Rockport series was a 1-gamer, and they were a very good team. But that's kind of, as far as 4A goes, Kevin, that's what I've found is the magic right there. Is if you can get past the first round, you got yourself a shot, a legit shot. And that year that Zapata beat us in 2017, they went to the 3rd round. Same thing, they beat Sinton first round, and then they ended up making a little run. And the years prior, we had an early exit, but the Coastal Bend has some quality softball. And so if you can get past that first round, you're going to see 2 of them because you're going to see one in the first round and you're going to see one in the 3rd round. You're going to see their number 1 team in the 3rd round. And we always got their 4th place team because we won the district. And so that year, Rockport got 4th, and we beat them. We played Somerset, and I mean, I've never seen 2 varieties of a game in the same night like I did against Somerset. We came out, I don't know, 12 runs, I think, in the first inning or 2.
Oh, yeah, I remember that game.
And then it was
I
like,
have a scar from that game.
And we couldn't hit. I'll say it better. We couldn't hit our way to a paper. Couldn't hit our way to a paper bag after that. And I mean, and they kind of gave us a little spook there. But it was 2 games that really, it was 1-gamers. it kind of taught them to be in the moment and then make something happen, and not just. I think that's something too. Like I've always been a series guy. That year, we felt like if we just put all of our ammunition into one big fight, who knows what could happen, you know? And so we go one game and then we win. And so let's go one game again. And so we were gonna play Orange Grove in the third round. And I was like, one game. And they were like, no, one game. So we decided to go a series with them. And that was an opponent that we knew very well. We'd seen them play a few times.
That's when we
and
went trending.
That just became a very personal series.
Oh, that was such a good series.
it started with the idea that they wanted us to play in the morning, at a certain time because it was prom. And so our kids were gonna have to like make a choice between prom and playing basically. And I was like, no, that's it's kind of, you're not gonna do it. I'll flip for it, whatever. And so, lo and behold, we lose the flip. And so it was one of those like, I'm sitting down with them, like, okay, guys. And during the playoffs, we would run practice like this. So Monday, I would give them the game plan, like, here's what the pitcher does. Here's what we're gonna do. Okay, and then we do a Monday practice, right? So I said, okay, so we flipped this morning, and everybody's like, one game? I'm like, no, not one game. And they're like, okay. This, and like, no, not that. And they're like, well, what's the good news? I was like, well, there's no good. There's actually no good news at all. I was like, we're playing during prom, and they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, yeah, like we're gonna end up playing. I said, you're gonna make it. I said, but we're gonna have to play like it. Oh, and that was something. These guys, our team, did not want to play in the sun. That was another request for coach. Like, please don't make us play during the day. And I was like, oh, I'll see what I can do. So,
we're spoiled.
prom became an issue. So eventually we made him flip, and we show up, and I'm like, hey, well, you have to win then. Like, you have to win if you're gonna make it to prom. Like, that's the only way I'm gonna tell you. And they were like, okay, no problem. And it was a regular old week. And then at some point, and at that time I was very I still am, but I was even more so naive to Twitter and how quickly the social media like would take off. And the kids showed me a tweet, and it was like something about Rio Hondo. I didn't even know what it meant. I didn't even know it was like a bad thing. I was like, hey, somebody knows who we are. Somebody knows that, hey, Rio Hondo. And they're like, coach, they're making fun of us. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah. They're like, don't worry, coach, we're gonna beat them, right? And it kind of went on and on for a while, and that's the family show version of that. And so but by that was like on a Tuesday or so, and then by the first game, like kids in the hallway. This tweet is everywhere, and like people were tweeting it and retweeting it, and I'm like, how does everybody know this? And they're like, coach, everybody's just sharing it and sharing it and sharing it and sharing it and just blowing this up. So it became like this, and then somebody's like, and they want us to miss prom, and this and that. And we play the first game, and it was a close game. And there was a call at first base that didn't go our way. And I won't say there was or there wasn't a film of it. There may be a film of it, but needless to say, the call did not go our way. And man, like it was like this feeling from crowd to crowd and the players to players. There was an edginess to it. Was no longer it was a little more personal to beat them, I think, for our team. And we lose.
It was, that game was so personal, I think, because they did beat us. I think what year, sophomore? I don't know.
Our sophomore year.
The
One of
first
those years
round.
they beat us, and when we found out we were playing Orange Grove, we were just like, oh, we're ready.
Oh, it's on.
We got this. And when we started seeing like everything on Twitter, it just made us like, oh, now we want it even more. We're hungry. We're gonna eat.
Oh.
You know? We're ready.
Yeah, no, it definitely gave it something different, man. It's just something different.
Serious. Different.
I think that
we had coming out of the locker room we had of game 2, we had that song Bounce Back. We were ready. We're like, we're gonna win, we're gonna go to prom, we're gonna have some fun. We were like ready to beat them out of the park.
And you know what?
Yeah,
We made it
no.
happen.
And we
I
did,
think
like we did.
that energy,
They're looking at us.
that personal, like that feeling was more personal than any of the district games we played. Like that game was personal compared to all the other games.
No, yeah, I agree. It was and actually, you know what? We go back. That was a Thursday, the first game, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then we lose. And I remember we go back to school, and that's always the coach thinking like, "Hey, these guys come back to school. What's the vibe like?" And I think every one of the kids, every one of the girls, was just like locked in from the morning that I saw them as I passed them in the hallway or they came by. Like they were locked in, full ready for the next day. Like, okay, coach, tonight's our night. And I was like, okay, well, let's go get them, you know, kind of thing. And lo and behold, we come out and just, you know, played very, very well on Friday. And then turn around and Saturday morning, you know, got the sealed the win. But now I think by Saturday they were out of gas a little bit, and we were like just kind of finding, like we had been in almost an idle for 2 rounds, and then, you know, here comes this whole nother side of you guys, and like that I think that series we played small ball. B Cruz hits a grand slam. There was a little bit of everything in that game, and it was just a whole lot of good stuff going on. You know, played great defense as a whole. Pitching was good, and you know, we did it. You know, we beat them, and I think that monkey off our back, I kind of knew like whatever happens after that is gravy. I mean, like we've slayed our mental beast. Solid, you know, and we you know, here we go. And so I knew from that point on, I was like, okay, this, like we weren't going to be beaten mentally anymore. And I felt like, you know, I think we're mentally in a good place as a group. And here we go. And everybody made it to prom on time. I've never seen anybody run off of the field that fast in my life, but they ran off the field. So like we took a quick picture and smile, and then poof, everybody disappeared.
That's when Z got hurt, and we had
that's
to
when
him.
that's when Coach Rod got hurt. That's right.
Oh.
So yeah, that's it. I'll tell you that story, Kevin. So okay, so I also have a switch, and so like I don't know, like, you know, I coached a little bit differently, you know, in I don't know, and I hate to say it like that, but like in the bigger the moment, I think the kids draw from me a little bit, and so I was definitely into it on game 3, right? So we get the win, and like the girl, like, I mean, everybody's hugging everybody, right? Do the handshake, and Coach Rodriguez is our assistant coach first base, and I thought I was going to give him one of these little, like, you know, in my mind that's what I was doing, but apparently, like, I Bobby Boucher'd him and just leveled him, and I ended up landing on top of him. And he's down, and I'm like, hey, brother, get up, man, let's get right. He's like, Coach, you hurt me, and I'm like you kidding me, right? So sure enough, I broke his ribs. Like I broke like 2 or 3 of his ribs, I think. And I feel terrible, but he always tells me, like, don't hurt me, don't hurt me. Like, but I was so jacked up that I rushed him, and I'm like, dude, did it? And I remember like just trying to grab him, and the next thing I know, like here I go, and and there may or not be a film of that too, but like I remember getting up, I'm like, hey, get up, and I reached my hand out for him, and he's like looking at me, and he's like, hey. And I'm like, he goes, you hurt me. I'm like, what? And he goes, yeah, like I think my ribs are messed up. And he did, you know, I did. But yeah, that was he broke his ribs that day, and that's how we ended that. I think it was on the bus. It was just me maybe going home. He had to go to the hospital in Kingsville that day and get checked out, of course, right? And we went home. Girls went to prom, and I felt terrible the whole week after. And then Monday after that year, we threw BP, right? He and I. So I'm like, he's like, I got this. I can throw BP. I was like, dude, you don't do anything for the rest of the the whole season. I'm so sorry. He's like, it's okay, coach. You were fired up. And I'm like, oh, I was fired up. I was fired up, man. But no, that's right. That's how that I injured our first base coach, and I haven't injured a coach, knock on wood, since then.
Now we know we touched up a little bit on the Wimberley series, and just how crazy that was and everything in between. I think when you guys had said to go back into the hashtag the show Keith, I went back and I looked at it, and yeah, everything was there from those couple of weeks. I think it was Miranda that tweeted that she had never been a part of a 33-inning marathon. Something as wild as that. Just when you guys were going into that last game, I think we started after midnight, from what I remember.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I think it was 11:45 because we couldn't start after midnight.
It was almost 12, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We were trying to push it to that midnight deadline, because at that point it would revert back to a 1-game series, and we had won game 1 the night prior. Mm-hmm. And Wimberley was adamant to start so that basically we could play it out. And
that
sure enough,
so
the deadline kind of hit prior to midnight, and so here we go back to playing. But yeah, no, it was like 33 innings, and it seemed like we played forever. But then it seems like we just played for 15 minutes.
It was like 20 some innings back to back.
It was no.
Shirt covered with dirt. Abby's shirt covered with dirt. I couldn't even grip the ball anymore because of how like sweaty my hands were. I remember getting the laptop out and just thinking like, don't throw this away. Don't throw this away.
Yeah,
that's right.
Every time I see Coach Blue now, he tells me about that game because I screamed at him because I was crying. I didn't mean it.
We were all just so frustrated and tired.
I was so tired. He was telling me it's gonna be okay, and I was screaming at him.
Oh no!
I remember Doc. I was crying after the second game, and he came up to me. He's like, "It's okay. You need to stop crying. Like, you have one more game." He's trying to calm me down, and I was like, "I can't do it."
Oh, the pictures, Miranda.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that series. We had a late night prior. We got home late. We went to eat after the game. We got home late, and I think the washing machine in our as luck would have it, right, the lunch machine in our hotel wasn't working. So we got a ride into town. We were staying in Greater Portland, so we drove into Corpus and used the laundromat. So it gave us a late start the next morning. Nobody woke up for breakfast like they were going to at the hotel. So we have this. All right, so everybody's like, we'll just go to IHOP. It's across the street, and we'll have this late lunch, whatever, right? So everybody went over there and had this, what I hope was this big mega meal, right? And so everybody eats at IHOP. We go back and get our stuff. And then we drive over to the game, but it must have been 2 o'clock, 2, 3
This is
o'clock
Hefe.
that we arrived at the park. So you think about it, I mean, they probably played 9, 10 hours without eating anything. So they were like, yeah, let's take a break. I was like, well, this lightning storm is gonna not gonna be over immediately. You guys go to Dairy Queen, and I remember saying, get something small, but get something to eat. And
Coach MT baby, I could get
I left. But my intention was that every one of y'all was gonna get something small, but something to eat.
You told us no.
And
I'm pretty sure you told us not to get anything to eat.
Yeah, Coach, you told us not to eat.
Okay.
I remember because I told my mom.
But there was a question of like,
can we order
a dude? Can we order? And I'm like, no, like something small.
Okay, but the vibes that we had, the energy we had, who really wanted to eat at that time?
I agree. I mean,
the ice cream.
I agree. So we go back and get out of that thing, and I remember they were trying to put it together, and they did. I mean, they come back and win game 2, but they were just completely. It took everything they had to get that game 2 win. So I knew we had the answer in game 3, and we did. We had more juice left than they did. I didn't think it was going to mean playing till the wee hours of the morning, but hey, it worked, and we did it, or you guys did it, and y'all came through. Annie pitched every day at practice, for that moment. There wasn't a doubt in anybody's mind. I remember looking at everybody, coaches wise, kind of talking, and they said, okay, well, they're like, what are you gonna do? What's your plan? I'm like, we're gonna throw Annie. And they're like, okay, let's do it. And then I walk over to the team, and they're like, okay. I'm like, all right, you guys, relax, go to the bathroom, whatever, a couple minutes. And then like Jenny and Miranda both looked at me like, which one of us are you gonna tell to go on? And I'm like, okay, Jenny, you're going to the left. Miranda, and I said, and Annie, warm up. And I think everybody's like everybody light, like, oh yeah, like, yeah, oh yeah. And nobody everybody's like, oh, like, here we go. And it just like new, like adrenaline, like right away. Fresh arm, yeah. And she went out there, and man, shut them down, killed them, shut them down, and just I was talking earlier about the depth of this team, and yeah, Annie played right field at sometimes, played third base, she pitched, and not the only one that moved, but like that's the way that all of y'all could have done that, and I think. Sometimes as a coach, you get back into a corner and you're kind of handcuffed by abilities. And I think because you guys, even though a player may have the ability to do more than one thing, they don't always believe they do. So the fact of the matter is like before we had the meeting and all that, like they were already telling me, I can pitch and I can do it, and y'all go over there and relax, and I'll come let you know who's gonna pitch in a little bit. And they were already gonna give me suggestions on what they thought. And so, but yeah, no, it was y'all never hesitated to change positions or move here or do whatever we told you to do. And because A, you trusted yourself, and B, you trusted everybody else around you. And what I felt honored by is that you trusted me to like look at me and go, okay, no problem. That's what we're gonna do, and let's go do it and execute. And then I said, let it ride. Let's see what happens. And that was it. We had one more bullet in our gun than they did, and the rest is history. We're on to the regional final. And I think that those kind of things is what we share in our first yearly meeting with the kids in our program that have came after you is things like that, is that you just never know what's going to happen, and you have to, like, with blind faith and relentless effort, go to practice every day as if at some point we're going to look at you and you're going to be asked to, or you're going to be the one that hits the game winner or hits the home run that drives a nail in the coffin, or you're going to be the kid that comes into the circle to pitch game 3 at 1:00 in the morning to get us to the regional final, or whatever you're going to be asked to do. That moment, it's going to happen. Like, you're going to be asked to do something along this whole season that you may not be comfortable with at this moment, but you have the rest of the season starting right now to get comfortable with it, because it's going to happen. And as long as you're ready to answer the call, we're going to be successful. And I think a lot of the kids, like, a lot of the kids that have come after you, like, man, it's so true. Like, it's so true. As a coach, you see things. Like, I can tell you, my heart is happy because man, every one of y'all is just a tremendous success story. I mean, I know that we're here today celebrating successes, and I think about those smiles that we're looking at, and over the tears I've seen from you. And I just think, man, like, all of you have done a tremendous job in believing in yourself. And I think that's what makes your story unique to our community, makes your story unique to all the girls, or all the athletes in general, but all the girl athletes in Rio Hondo, that, man, she believed she could, so she did. And you had the work ethic to back up your beliefs. You weren't going to be told no. I didn't have to worry about whether or not you were going to be running or lifting or hitting extra or whatever. You did. And I think that's the special twist. That's the special sauce, that to me can make a team unique, is that, man, you think about it and just to say it, and we can go through all the different little pieces that you guys managed to turn every failure or letdown that you had into a success, and you've learned that recipe. And I think that's a recipe that any coach or any teacher wants their kids to learn, so that life is easy, and you get the best out of it, because you can turn it around. You have the ability to. That it takes sweat and tears and belief, and anything's possible. And so that to me, you guys were able to epitomize that. And sometimes it takes sports. It takes sports. I know in our community, we love sports in Rio Hondo. And so to take something like that and really, put you guys on you guys put yourself on the big stage with the way social media is. You guys have really become, as a group, collectively, what we hope that most of our students want to be. And that's that, have pride, have faith, be resilient, have work ethic, blue collar. Those are things that you often, those are terms that you often hear in the same sentence with successful, not only on the field, or but just in life. And so the fact that all of y'all have those things, and we're able to see those things, and then to see, like, moments like that, that's your proof to the pudding, that that should be things that you hold in your heart, that are reminders for you later throughout life struggles, because they're not going to stop. At 37, I'll tell you, they're not going to stop. And so you find a way to to get past it, because you can, because you've seen evidence that you can.
Yeah, this picture here was right after, the marathon that was the Wimbledon series. That's Abby, Alexa, that's Esparza, Nayeli in the back. Who's there between Esparza and Abby?
Annie.
Annie, okay. What, just the emotion, like Coach Esparza said, that's in this one photo. I mean, Alexa's face, she looks exhausted, she looks happy. Do you at all remember, any of you, the ones that were in this photo, do you all remember what was said in this huddle?
I could just imagine saying we did it or just did it. Yeah. I don't think we even said anything. It just our emotions just were so, we were exhausted. We were happy, like over the top. I mean, look at us. Look at me. I was just so happy. Miss it.
It's one of the better pictures that I've actually gotten, but that has so much emotion to it. And then
thank you too for capturing those pictures for us all through the season. Appreciate that as well.
Yeah, no. So, my backstory to that was Friday I was at Cabinets with Harlingen South, and my buddy Freddie was there with you guys game 1 in Sinton. So, we had split the series, and Harlingen South lost that next day. They got swept by Brennan. You guys had game 3. I don't know, at about 4 o'clock maybe. So Harlingen South loses. They're done. So I'm sitting at a McDonald's somewhere in Corpus, and I'm typing my story. I'm sending the pictures, and I look at my clock, and I'm like, hey, Rio Hondo plays at 4 or 5 or whatever. And I'm like, so I quickly get on Google Maps. I'm like, how far is Sinton from here? And I'm like, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I'm like, I got it. I'm going to finish the story. I'm going to eat my nuggets, and I'm going to go to Sinton. So I told Freddie, I said, hey, I was like, if you want, dude, I was like, I can shoot pictures for you, and you can write the story. We can split it in half or something. I need to do something to be at that series. So I was like, yeah, man, sure, whatever, we'll figure it out. So there I go. I head to Sinton, and little did I know what I was getting myself into. So, yeah, so we cover the game. The lightning delay happens. We're not sure where this is going. And my buddy Freddie had his wife and his little boy with him, and it's starting to get late. And Freddie is like, well, like my boy's acting up. He's like, we're just gonna go home. Like, we can't stay here much longer. So I said, oh, it's okay. It's like, you can go. I'll take over the rest. Again, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. So the game goes on, and as the craziness goes on, what we're supposed to do with work is we're technically, our day is done at 11 when our work time is done. So when we got past that, our editor says, hey, you can leave at any point. Like, you've done your hours, you've done your day. Because my day started that morning at Cabinets with Harlingen South. So I was already over the hours, and they're like, okay, like, you can go home at any time, because you've done your time, and the longer you stay there, like, you're gonna get paid for that. And I said, okay, that's fine. I said, I don't care. I was like, I'm not leaving, I'm staying. I was like, I did my time, fine, whatever. Like, I wasn't even worried about overtime or was I getting paid for that time I was there. I said, no one else is here from the Valley. So like, we're the only ones here to like capture this. So I'm like, I'm staying, whatever. And again, didn't know what else. So then I'm like, okay, like, there's something going on here, like this lightning delay, and we were forced to go to a game 3, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm sitting there at game 3, and I kind of felt like a little tired, and Andy, Doc, was kind of looking at me like, oh, not so tough now, are you? Like, are you getting tired, aren't you? I'm like, just a little bit, but like, hey, like, we're all here, right? So I'm glad I stayed, and I ended up going home that night. I finished what I had to do. I ended up going home. Obviously, the crazy thing was that the game ended. Obviously, the newspaper and everything was sent. So whatever you guys did that night wasn't okay. But yeah, that was my kind of little backstory to it. Was like, I wasn't even supposed to be there that day, but just something in my gut said, get your butt over to Sinton and be involved in that series in one shape or form. I mean, that series was just crazy in one. But yeah, a lot of defining moments there in that series. And another quick little side story with Esparza was when we were going to game 3, I was like, Jenny, Miranda, I was like, hey, who are you going to throw? And he said that. He goes, we got one more bullet. And I was like, oh, yeah? He goes, we got one more bullet, and it's Annie. I was like, all right, let's do it. And the rest is history. But jumping, our final segment, the thing we want to talk about is the region final. Everything kind of just led up to that moment. And, I felt like all of Rio Hondo was there. And I think by then you guys were already rock stars. And you guys were trending that night. I think Alexa tweeted it that night with Kimberly that Rio Hondo was 7th on the trending list. And everyone knew what Rio Hondo was and everything that had happened. So, you guys were rock stars going into that Beeville series. So, what was that week like leading up to the region final and going up against Beeville Jones?
I think the vibes we're like, well, we made it this far, like graduation comes, like I didn't even care that I wasn't gonna walk with everyone else. Like I was gonna go out on the field. That was like the last thing in my mind. I guess we were just trying to prepare for that one moment. And I remember Coach Esparza telling us, every team that's gone and played at that level on that Canada field has made it to state. And I was like, in the back of my mind, like, okay, we're gonna make it to state, like we're gonna go, we're gonna do it, like we're preparing ourselves. I think that's something that was always in the back of my head.
Yeah, that week of practice presented a lot of different hurdles and things that prepare. I mean, you're always learning, right, as a coach, and it's not always X's and O's in between the lines. And so that week leading into it, and there was so many things like, okay, graduation, and then can you organize the graduation, coach? Like, yeah, let me put that on my to-do list. But yeah, no, it was like that was something that we had talked about when this group of seniors was freshmen. Was like, man, you could graduate at state. I remember being in high school. My parents were coaches and going to the state tournament, and I thought that was always really, really cool that when you get to state, if your graduation happens to be at the same time, like somebody from your school comes out and gives that group of seniors whatever their diploma at home plate. And I said, you know what, I was telling them, and as this group would do it, they were like, that would be so cool if we could get our diploma on the softball field. And flash forward to 17, and here it is. It's the last week of school. I think they had already been cleared. There was no school anymore at that point. I think we had maybe a teachers meeting here and there, and it was all final clearance type stuff. Graduation was that Friday, and so I had Coach Martinez at South was always they're like, well, Cabinets is a hot spot right there. I knew it could fit a lot of our community there, and we had tons of people that followed the group at Sinton. So try to pick the biggest venue, short of playing at Whataburger Field, and where we could have played. And so Cabinets it was, and it was the whole idea of this game being streamed live. Something we look at now 3 years later happens all the time. Our game was streamed, and I remember thinking, like, man, people are gonna see the game. They're like, yeah, if you log into NFHS, you can people can watch the game from wherever. And I was like, oh, that's cool. The girls are gonna play on TV, and that kind of stuff was real special for them. And I thought, that's gonna be a real neat deal there. The community support that week, and every week, but that week I remember just being overwhelming. I think the fact that everybody was out of school, Little kids came by the park. We were practicing. Younger kids came by the park when we were practicing to just kind of see the girls practice. They brought Gatorade and things like that, and just came out to basically support something that was historical, and rightfully so. I mean, I think it was something that it had never been done, obviously, in Rio Hondo and the softball element of things. But like at the same time, it was something that we were just living in the moment at that point. I mean, we're talking about 10, 15 extra games on top of the season. So now you're looking at maybe 40 something games in. We were just really just in the moment, and I personally was not thinking about winning, losing, as much as I was thinking about just making sure that the girls had the best opportunity to go out and continue to showcase what they could do. Girls, like, well, how do y'all feel about that last week? Like, what was practice like? Like, y'all, what do y'all, were we? Remember, it was like just different people came every day just to, like, basically like show you guys love. Do y'all remember that?
Yeah, I remember some people brought.
Goodie
I
bag.
don't
Oh, they.
remember anything.
I remember
Just
they
have a
brought us
community.
rastas, pizza,
Every
cake.
day
Yeah,
it was different.
yeah.
It was just gaining weight, but it was a lot of love from our community that we did receive. Our principal showed us a lot of support as well. I mean, super emotional to talk about, but it was super like happy time and a lot of love from our community.
Yeah,
I think that's.
they also put those softballs on like the hallway, so it had all of our names and our numbers. I thought that was really cool.
I have mine back here.
I've never got mine.
Yeah, I still have mine. Well, I think I took it. I don't know. I just think that was an advantage to us having like a small community and us going that far. Like the whole community was like in support behind us. Like the little girls that would go, little girls would go watch the practice. Like walking, if they saw you in something, like they knew. I think it was just like a really good advantage, and it helped us like be examples for them.
Yeah, I think the send-offs that there were, they used to, Kevin, they would set up back then we had an intermediate, and they would set up the intermediate, and the kids would come out the intermediate, and they would stand along the fence like in the bus drop off, and they'd have signs and just different things. And man, I mean, let me tell you, like, you want tears, man, instant tears right there. Like, you would drive through that bus stop and kind of like slow roll through there, and just the just overwhelming love and support that you can really get and feel in that small town vibe. I mean, it was I mean, every every time that we would kind of go by there and on our way out of town for games, and it would get me every time. I mean, how can you ever lose with the support from people like that? And throughout that whole year, I really leaned on our principal at the time. Her name was Liz Valdez, and she had been at Porter when they went to state in soccer. And so I remember a lot of those things. Like, she always told me, "Don't worry, coach. I've been to state. I know I can get you through this." Like, all right, man. Like, let's do it. Like, whatever. And Coach James and our legislative secretary, Ms. Chavez, Elizabeth Chavez, she would invest the signs for the girls, their names on, just trying to show them support.
She got us a Build-A-Bear.
Support. A Build-A-Bear. I mean, just so much support, because it was never really, it was always about, just how much they had done, at that point. It was always just, and we were ready to kind of settle in, regroup ourselves, enjoy it, and then come the following weekend, like, let's get ready to do it again. But yeah, no, absolutely. That week, let's see, what else? That week was like the end of school, so we did the whole graduation walkthrough, and man, I remember if you remember, we used to take or they had a big fan following, so they used to have fan buses. And I think at that time, the fan bus situation was out of control, and like they made so much noise that Beeville brought in the band. Like they showed up the first day at Cabinets and they had the band sitting maybe 2 rows behind their dugout. And I think the band played nonstop for 7 innings. It was one of those atmospheres that was I'll remember it forever. It was definitely special to be a part of that game in that magnitude. And that was the last game that the Cabinets had on grass. Or the last series, at least.
Yeah, that's one thing that I noticed that there was still grass and dirt there at Cabinets. But yeah, just going through those photos of the whole graduation thing. Before we wrap up, guys, with the region final, just what was the conversation like after the game? I know, I didn't get to see any photo, but we shared that one photo that I got of as far as talking to you guys, and I think him or one of you guys said, man, like even now that picture is a little difficult to look at and kind of just take in. But what was that conversation like? And the bus ride home, and was there a sense of, were you guys content knowing like you did everything you guys could?
I think so. I think after the great game, we were happy. Like we had to accept it. It was our senior year, and we knew that we gave, the toughest we could do. Like we did everything. We showed our teeth through the whole playoff season. Got that far, and I wouldn't have wanted to do it with anyone else. I wouldn't have wanted to graduate with my class, and I'm super glad I graduated with my girls on the field where we belong.
I just think it was hard. Like it was a hard loss to take with us, but like Tana said, like I wouldn't want to do it with anyone else. And we left that game knowing that we did everything possible that we could. We didn't I didn't have any regrets. Like things could have been done differently here and there, but at the end of the day, like it was what we all gave out on the field. So we couldn't really be like regretful for that.
Anybody else? And for the underclassmen, Nayeli, you were just a freshman taking all of this in, and the twins and B Cruz, Kayla, you guys are a little bit younger, but still contributors. What was your insight on being able to be a part of something like this?
I would say that like seeing them and seeing how much like they had leadership, it really taught all of us something. Like we all knew like we wanted to be leaders and have like that swagger and have like that excitement when they got on the field. Like they knew everything was serious but fun, and you could tell that they loved the game, and I think that's like what we took from it.
Anybody else? Twins, B Cruz, Kayla?
It was heartbreaking because we played with them for so long, and then here comes the end, and it's not really the way we wanted. It's just like yes, we had next year, but it wouldn't be with them. It was just gonna be. It was up to us now to make sure we did that again the following year. So it was tough. I thought it was extremely tough, but luckily we had girls the following year that could fill big roles. So.
Definitely. Yeah, and in a way, you guys set that standard because the next year, Annie's group, they go 3 deep, and we, Esparza and I, on the side would say like these kids found that deep river magic is what we call it. And Annie, B Cruz, you guys lived through that divine comeback, and how crazy that was. And you talk about the Wimberley series, the Annie and the B Cruz divine game, and then even last year, lo and behold, Erica Cortez comes back, and they're back in the Sweet 16 again, and and there's Rio Hondo, to show that 2017 team helped set that standard, And, it's still, like, Naeli, that's what made this group special. And I told as far as when the year started, like, we looked at the roster and it's like you see KP, Abby T, and a lot of fresh names, but then like there's still Naeli. She's the last one left from that 2017 team. So she was like the last bit that was left of that magical team. But for me, covering the sport, there hasn't been a team, like that specific team from that 2017 year, because you guys had it all. Like I said, from the good and the bad and everything in between, and just the moxie that you guys had, and it helped, from the outside looking in, build towards, what you guys continue to do. So before we wrap up, I mean, anybody else has any final thoughts or anything else they want to share?
We should get together again.
We're gonna have an alumni game. I've been waiting for that.
That was ours.
I was ready right after I graduated. Coach, come on.
No, it's okay.
I still have my cleats.
Right. and something special, Kevin, like, and I mentioned alumni, but like something special that these guys pitched as the idea, and is always giving back to that community that supported them all the way through. So they do have like and we know we've dubbed it like the Rio Hondo Legends Camp, and that's where all these guys have the open floor to come back and basically run a camp. I kind of stole the idea from South Baseball. A year after they go to state, Coach Leal brings all these guys back to kind of. It's kind of like you submerge the culture, you push the culture that you want on everybody else. And we spent 4 tough years trying to push the culture into this group, that putting them and then generations after them around the same culture hopefully produces the same moxie, like you said. If I think that's the hardest part for me, is trying to teach the mental game to athletes at such a young age. That's something that these kids usually be a push on them in college. And in the college game is the mental game. And so if we can kind of give them some kind of moxie approach early, and who else better to come from? I mean, I'll tell you what, I took just having some of you guys around during that one Saturday before the season, or when y'all guys are around in town, you stop by practice, or you're in town for a game, you stop by a game. If it comes from you to today's athlete, it goes so much more than I'm coached, and so coach is gonna say it 500 times in a season, but one of you guys comes by and you make an adjustment with the kid, or you talk to them, about even just believing in himself, and it goes so much more. And that's something that I give you guys tons of credit. I want you guys to know that you guys do that. Again, makes you guys really, really special individuals, is you continue to come by and give to the groups underneath you, and provide that constant, reassuring, positive vibe, mental toughness idea to the generations after. Because I've heard you guys are getting better at your public speaking, but you guys come by and you visit with the classes underneath you, and you tell them how much it meant to you to wear the same colors. And now that we have the banners out in the outfield now, and all the things that are going on, and they see you guys, they know you guys. And so I really do appreciate each of you that comes by and continues to teach and give back to the community and the athletes of the program that you left. It really says a lot about your maturity, and that's just something that I really does set you guys apart, and your willingness to continue to show up no matter what, and not worry about anything, and continue to be around. If you look at look at big time college football, all these successful programs that are there. Look at the Sideline. All the alumni that are in the NFL, or all the alumni that were successful with their time there, they're back. They're back on the sideline, hanging out, sharing wisdom tidbits, whatever, just being a presence, so that the importance of what it means in your brand is there. And the fact that you guys still do that, you retweet the girls' tweets all the time. We kind of keep up with you guys. We try to put your guys' stuff out. I appreciate when you guys share it back. The social media influence that you guys have, and physical, just being there physically for them, really, really, really is important to all the kids in Rio Hondo.
Definitely. So, that about wraps up our sideline sit-down the dream season with the 2017 Rio Hondo Lady Bobcats, all reunited social distancing style in one. Kayla Cepeda, Bianca Cruz, Tiana Sandoval, Alexa Castellanos, Annie Abby Alvarado, Anthony Orozco, Nayeli Garcia, Kayla Castaneda, and Juan Martinez, and Coach Esparza. Thank you all for making the time to join us and kind of just let loose and share y'all stories in that season. So again, thank y'all for joining us, and you guys stay home, stay healthy, stay safe, and at some point everything's gonna go back to normal, and we'll be able to go back to our everyday life. So thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you for bringing us back.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thanks, Kelly. Thank you for having us.
See y'all.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See you soon.
Bye.